Hey y'all, welcome back to my Southern Rustic kitchen. This week we are cooking up some easy dinners and a super easy and delicious dessert. So let's head on into the kitchen and let's make some delicious meals. Alright you guys, we are going to start this week out with making my copycat Olive Garden tortellini with Alfredo and chicken. It's so good and very easy. So I've got a pot of water coming up to a boil on the stove, and I've also got a skillet over medium-low heat heating up on the stove as well. So we're going to go ahead and season our chicken. I've got 2 chicken breasts here that I've just got cut in half. We're going to season that up with a little bit of salt, pepper, and this honey garlic seasoning by Fire and Smoke. It's really good. We're going to season that up on both sides, and then we're going to head on over to the stove to cook up this chicken. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of oil to my pan, and I'm going to add the chicken in there. I'm going to let the chicken cook about 3 to 4 minutes per side. If your chicken is a little bit thicker than mine, you can let it cook about 4 to 5 minutes per side. It just depends on how thick the chicken is, really. Cook it to about 160 degrees because the temperature will rise as it rests. So while that is cooking, we're going to work on our Alfredo sauce. So I've added 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 cloves of garlic to my saucepan here, and I'm going to let this cook over a low flame for about 30 seconds, just until that garlic is fragrant. Then I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of flour, whisk that together, and I'm going to let that cook for about a minute or 2, just to cook that raw flour taste out. Then I'm going to season that up with some salt and pepper. Now I'm just adding in some half and half. If you don't want to do half and half, you can do milk or cream, or a combination of cream and milk. So I'm just going to add that in there, whisk that up until it's nice and thickened over medium-low heat. Then I'm going to add in some grated Parmesan cheese, cut the heat off, whisk that together until it is completely melted into that sauce. And this can just hang out on the stove while we make the tortellini. I somehow lost the footage of me showing you which tortellini I used. I just used the Reina's 4-cheese tortellini, but you can use whatever kind that you like. I just cooked that according to the package directions, drained it, and then I added it to this pot. Now I'm just going to add in the Alfredo sauce and mix that around till it's well combined, and then this is good to go. After the chicken was done cooking, I just took it out of the skillet, placed it on a plate, and kind of let it hang out there for just a few minutes. I plated the tortellini, put that on my plate, topped it with that chicken, sprinkled over some parsley, and this, you guys, is so easy, but it's so good. Next up, we're going to be making my 1-pan chili with cornbread topping. It is so easy and delicious. So we're going to start out by heating up a skillet over medium-low heat. We're going to add in a pound of ground beef, break that up with a spoon, add in some onion, salt, and pepper, and we're going to let this cook until that ground beef is cooked completely through. There's no pink left, and those onions are nice and tender. Now that we have the ground beef cooked through and those onions are nice and tender, we're going to go in and add in some garlic. I've got 2 cloves of garlic here that I've just got minced up. I'm going to add those in there, mix it around, and let this cook for about 30 seconds or so, just until that garlic is nice and fragrant. Now we're going to go in with our spices. You're going to add some chili powder, cumin, red pepper flakes, garlic powder, and onion powder, and then you're just going to mix that around and let these spices toast together for about a minute or 2, just until you start to smell those spices. Now you're just going to come in and add your tomatoes, your chicken broth, beans, corn, a tablespoon of sugar, and some salt and pepper. And you're going to mix this around, make sure it's nice and combined. You're going to bring this to a boil over medium heat. Once it comes to a boil, you're going to reduce the heat to low, and you're going to let this simmer for about 25-30 minutes, just until it is nice and thickened. You don't want it to be too thick, but you want it to be thick enough to hold the cornbread topping on top later. So while this is cooking, we're going to go ahead and make our cornbread topping. The chili mixture is simmering away on the stove. We're going to go ahead and make our cornbread mixture for the top. So to my bowl here, I've just got some cornmeal, flour. We're going to add some salt, baking powder, and baking soda with some grated cheddar cheese. We're going to mix that together really well. Then we're going to add in an egg, some sugar, milk, or you can do buttermilk, and some butter. And then we're just going to mix that until it's really well combined. And then we're just going to set that to the side while the chili mixture finishes up cooking. Now the chili mixture is nice and thickened. It's not too thick, but it's thick enough to hold that cornbread topping on top. So there's no rhyme or reason to this. You can just dollop spoonfuls of that cornbread batter all over the top. You don't have to spread this out with a spoon. This will spread out as it bakes in the oven. Once you get that all dolloped on top, you're going to bake this at 400 degrees for about 17 to 20 minutes, just until that cornbread is cooked through and nice and golden brown. Then you're just going to remove that from the oven and let this sit and kind of hang out for about 5 to 10 minutes before you serve it. Alright y'all, here is my bowl of this wonderful chili. I just topped it with a whole bunch of different toppings. I've got sour cream, green onions, pepitas, diced radishes, cheddar cheese, pickled jalapenos, and a slice of lime. And this, you guys, was absolutely delicious. Today we're going to be making some steaks. My husband picked these steaks up at his last car show on the way back from his last car show, actually in Georgia, I believe. So we're going to be seasoning these up. These are the filet mignon cut steaks. We're going to add some Worcestershire sauce, some buttery steakhouse seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, smoked sea salt, and a little bit of pepper. I'm going to season those on both sides. Make sure they're nice and seasoned well on both sides. Then we're just going to cover these up and let these sit for about 30 minutes to an hour. So we're going to make some asparagus to go on the side with the steaks. Now I'm just kind of winging it today, kind of throwing some ingredients together for the side dish. So I've got my oven preheated to 425 degrees. I've got a sheet tray lined with parchment paper, and I've got some asparagus here. It's just frozen and thawed. I'm going to drizzle over some olive oil, the zest of 1 lemon, the juice of half of a lemon. I'm going to add in 2 cloves of garlic, as well as some salt and pepper. Mix that around, and I'm going to bake this for 20 minutes. Take it out, kind of zhuzh it around, pop it back in the oven for another 15 minutes, just until it gets nice and golden brown. Now that the asparagus is done, I'm going to add about 1/3 cup of grated Parmesan cheese to this. Pop this back in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes just to melt the cheese. Now I don't have a written recipe for this, but if you would like for me to put one up on my blog, let me know in the comment section down below. The steaks have rested and I've got my skillet here over medium-low heat. I love cooking in cast iron over medium-low heat because cast iron retains its heat very well. And I don't want these to burn, I want them to sear. So I'm going to add a little bit of oil to my pan here and I'm going to sear these steaks on side 1 for 5 minutes. I'm going to flip them over, sear them for 2 minutes on side 2. Pop these in the oven at the same temperature as we bake the asparagus. We're going to bake these for 10 minutes, pull them out, put some butter and salt and pepper on top, and we're going to let these rest for about 10 minutes. Alright, here is my plate. I have these steaks here. Now these steaks are perfectly medium rare, which is about between 130 to 135 on a meat thermometer, which we love medium rare steaks. But if you don't like that, you can cook them longer. I've got some asparagus. I cooked some crescent rolls that need to be cooked up. And I made a little bit of honey butter, which is just 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of honey. Mix it up. And this was absolutely delicious. For dinner tonight, I am making chicken nuggets and fries. Now, I'm using my chicken tender recipe, which is on my blog. I will leave that linked in the description box for you guys. But I'm making chicken nuggets instead of chicken tenders. So I've got 2 pieces of chicken breast here that I've just got kind of diced up into chicken nugget form. And I'm going to season my flour with some onion butter seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper, a little bit of paprika. I'm going to whisk that up until it is all nice and combined. To my second bowl here, I have probably about a cup of milk. And to that, I'm going to add 3 eggs. For a little bit of sweetness to the batter, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of honey. And then I'm just going to whisk this together. Now we're going to coat the chicken nuggets. We're going to put them in the seasoned flour, get them nice and coated in that flour, put them in the egg mixture, make sure they're nice and coated in that egg mixture. Then we're going to put them back into the flour, make sure they're nice and coated in that flour again, and then place them on a plate, and then just finish up the rest of the chicken nuggets. Now we are ready for frying these chicken nuggets. So I've got my skillet here over medium-low heat. As always, I've got probably a 1/4 inch of oil in my skillet, and I'm just going to add just a few of these at a time and cook these about 2 to 3 minutes per side. I don't want these to be too high of a temperature because I don't want the outside to cook before the inside cooks. So we're going to cook those 2 to 3 minutes per side until they are nice and golden brown and cooked through. Then we're going to remove them to a paper towel lined plate to let any excess grease drip off. Alright, everything is pretty much done, so I'm going to show you guys how to make homemade honey mustard. It is so easy, so good. So to a little mason jar here, I've got a wide mouth mason jar. I'm going to add an egg, about 3/4 cup to a cup of avocado oil. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of mustard. You can do any kind of mustard that you prefer. I like to use yellow mustard, and 2 tablespoons of honey. You're going to use an immersion blender and blend this until everything is well combined. Now this will last about a week to a week and a half in the refrigerator, but we use it for all sorts of things like dressings, sandwiches. You can do dips. So easy and so good. Here is my plate. I have these delicious homemade chicken nuggets here. I made me some Arby's fries in the air fryer because they are my favorites. I made Rally's fries for my daughter because they're her favorite. And I just served it with that homemade honey mustard for dipping. And this was so easy and so delicious. Alright, we are going to wrap up this week with making dessert. I'm going to show you how to make my aunt's pink salad. I don't know why she calls it a pink salad, probably because it's pink, but don't knock this until you try it. It is absolutely delicious. To my mixing bowl, I'm going to add in a small container of cottage cheese. You can do large curd, small curd, or ricotta cheese. They all work well in this. Then I'm going to add in a small jar of drained half maraschino cherries, as well as a drained can of fruit cocktail and some pecans. Now you can do a little bit or a lot of pecans, it's really up to you. And then you're going to mix that together really well, and then you're going to add in a small box of either strawberry or cherry jello. You're going to mix this really well, make sure it's all nice and combined. Once that is all combined, you're going to fold in a small container of Cool Whip. You're just going to fold it in until everything is well combined. Then you're going to transfer this to a bowl with a lid, or you can just cover this with plastic wrap and pop it in the refrigerator. You're going to let this chill for about 2 to 4 hours just so everything can set up. Here is the pink salad a few hours later after it has been chilled. You guys, this is so good. Now you can also blend the cottage cheese up until it is smooth and add that in there. So you really don't taste the cottage cheese at all, but it's absolutely delicious. And that is going to wrap up this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.